This is the second video in a series of videos that I'm doing to try to mimic creating a very simplistic Pac-Man style game clone. I'm not sure how many videos it will take before I give up working on it or finish the project, but that's what you're looking at here. Enjoy. Okay, so where we left off last time, we had this initial basic program, and all it did, if I execute it here pressing F5, was to move around what I'm calling a ghost randomly across the screen, dodging the walls as it moves. And if it happens to go through the warp wall, it probably will crash. And you see it's kind of moving around slowly. It doesn't recognize that it's not supposed to be going into the ghost cage, although there are certain times when you want to allow that. If it's the ghost eyes, then it's allowed to go into the ghost cage. So anyway, it runs for 550 moves. Nothing spectacular. It's eating the dots, although it shouldn't be eating the dots. And let me close that. So what I wanted to do was to show that I worked on an improvement to this. What I've tried to do was come up with some logic that would prioritize the direction in which the ghost moved. What I wanted to do was somehow have a method or an algorithm that would move the ghost in the direction some point on the screen, but not necessarily only in that direction. And I came up with this sheet, and it's a ridiculous amount of I don't know what I was thinking of logic that I came up with these different ways of making calculations of which direction you should be able to go, up, down, left, or right. However, in the end, I was thinking, that's ridiculous. That's just way too much, way too complicated. All that's really needed is either the ghost can move in the direction of the target, or he doesn't. And so my algorithm is very simple. It will randomly choose every third time, for example, to move in the direction of the target, and the other two times it moves randomly. And that's what I have come up with in this version. It's very simple. Pretty much I've used a renumbering program to renumber. Where is that? To renumber this code. Yeah, right here. Tools, renumber. And I've renumbered it starting at 1000 by 10 at some point. But other than that, the only real change here, I have some comments out, some lines of code commented out, was this random, not the random, but the logic right here. Essentially, it's a counter for every third time. I have it set to 3. For every third time, then move towards the target. You can either do it move towards the target every third time, or don't move towards the target every third time. So here it's incrementing YY. If YY is 3, set it to 0, and then go to 1630, which 1630. So this is set every third time, go random, the rest of the times go towards the priority. And what you get when you run this is it will run around the map a lot less randomly. And the other modification I made to this code is I have an input string, get a string. If it's equal to blank, then go to here. So now it's not just going to run, I need to push the spacebar or something to make the object move. That helped me sort of debug as I was going along, because I'm not a flawless coder here. But let's see what this does. We'll hit space, F5. Okay, so here I'll push some letters on the keys, and you can see it moves. But not only is it moving once I push a button, it's moving with more of a purpose. And I have the target set for the center of the map, where that little line is. Let me move my mouse right here. That's the target. And once it gets there, I could have had the program in, but right now it just kind of flails around like a fish out of water. So you see, that's what it does. If I adjust the priority, I can show you the difference here. Either make this large, like 10. I think that's I think that's going to be a high priority. I could be wrong. Let's see. Yeah, see, it's mostly moving around random. And boom, it gets there. Let's increase it even higher, because I was thinking it would be, it's like if I made that 100 and hit F5. So it's kind of moving around randomly. Boom. And you can see, if I hit escape, it ends the program, but I'm just going to close it out. If I lower this down to, say, 1, adjusting the priority, that means every time, in my mind, it should be random every time. It's not going to necessarily follow a certain pattern. And look at that. Goes in a circle. And it's just moving around randomly. So you could do this algorithm either way. You could either have it every time, or every 5th time move randomly, or say every 5th time move in the direction of the target. And I play with that logic here, and later on I'll be playing with that logic to determine which I end up with. I may end up having to change the logic totally, but I really think it's an elegant way of determining or make the ghost go to a certain location. So down the line, when there's 4 of these ghosts plus the Pac-Clone moving around, each one of them will have this, will be following this logic, and each one of them can have their own independent priorities. So that's what this first basic program modification is. On the next basic modification I'm going to bring up here in a minute, it's time to add a second ghost into the mix. And I'll show you that here in a second. Close this. So I've done the best I could to explain what this is doing, expanding upon the first video. Add existing. So in this program, I've further modified basic 1, pac1.base, to save off the variables and then go sub to move the ghosts. Save off the variables. When it's returned, save them off. Set the new ones for the second ghost. Go sub to move the ghosts. Save the variables back. And use the same logic that's in this program. You can see they're basically the same if I flip back and forth. Except for now, we're just setting the tone up for setting up for 2 ghosts instead of for just 1. Let me show you what this looks like. I believe it looks like I've commented out the get right here. So let's see what this does. Spacebar F5. So here it's just running full speed and it's very slow. There's 2 ghosts running around. They both have their own priorities. They both are doing their own thing. You can imagine if I were to add a 3rd, 4th ghost plus having Pac-Man added in there, how slow it would be. At least the way this program is written. I know it could be improved in terms of its performance, even in BASIC, but since I plan to convert this and demonstrate how this program runs in assembly language on the very next video, I don't really see the point of trying to further optimize this BASIC program. So you see it's kind of slow, painfully slow to watch. I'm going to close it and go over the program just one more time. It's essentially the same as in the first video and in what I just showed you with Basic 1, except I have these variables here that some of them have to be saved off. And in Basic you have to get really creative with the naming conventions because you're limited to two characters for the names of your variables. So that's what I'm doing here. I am saving off all the variables or initializing them, saving them off here. Go sub 1500. So I made this section, which already was, but subroutine. Set the variable, save them back, save the variables as a result of whatever it did after it got back from 1500. Set the new set of variables for ghost 2, go sub 1500, save those variables off, return. And all this is doing is looping. So for I equals 1 to 550, go sub this 1290. So I made this whole little section here a subroutine. Next I. So it's just doing it for 500 times in a loop. I know it's not very exciting, but I am moving forward. It's taking quite a long time, I know, for anybody who's following this video series, for me to do just this minor little bit. But I'm actually a little bit further along on my assembly, but nowhere near finished. And having to work, 40 plus hours a week, plus the holidays, is kind of tough to put the time in to get this all done. I'm not sure how far I'm going to take it, but my ultimate goal probably would be to have this whole thing running with 4 ghosts, with you being able to control your character Pac-Man with the joystick preferably, and with you being able to eat the ghosts, to eat the power pellets, eat the ghosts, have them return back to the ghost cage, and have that all work with sprite graphics as opposed to text graphics. And then if I want to take it even further, add scoring and maybe add the fruit levels, and add difficulty levels to where you ramp up the priorities. So the way I'm kind of handling this is more or less the only way I can do it is to kind of eat one bite at a time, like eat the elephant one bite at a time. It's a fun project to do, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm hoping that everybody who's following this is enjoying watching me do this as well, and maybe you guys can learn something. It's fun. It's a very fun project to work on, especially if you don't have the pressure of a boss telling you need this to get this done. You don't have a deadline to worry about. It's just for fun. There's no pressure. The other thing I like about this program is, if you wanted to, you could easily swap out this map, put whatever characters you wanted, put whatever design that you wanted to into it, and that's part of the fun of this whole project. So anyhow, I hope to have the next video out probably 2 to 4 to 5 weeks after this video, after you watch this video. So thanks for watching, and you'll hear from me soon.